So one time I tried to compete with my wife's ex-boyfriend. Yeah, that's how you know the day's not going well already. It's funny you think you're confident until someone from your wife's past shows up looking like the cover model for Men's Health, and you're standing there wondering if you brushed your hair this morning. My wife said, "Oh, don't worry, he's just a friend, right?" And I'm just relaxed, sure. The whole time I'm smiling like, yeah, cool, no big deal. But inside, my heart's doing CrossFit. I started doing things I never do, talking louder, pretending I care about sports, even laugh like 3 octaves deeper than usual. Because apparently, my brain decided this was the Olympics of being a husband. But here's the truth: the more I tried to compete, the smaller I felt. The more I tried to prove something, the less peace I had. And then it hit me: life isn't a competition of people who used to be in the picture. It's a journey of becoming who you're meant to be right now. You don't win by being louder or stronger, you win by being real. See, sometimes life brings you people or moments that test your confidence, not to embarrass you, but to expose what still needs to grow inside you. And if you can laugh through it, learn from it, and stay humble in it, that's where real confidence starts. Because the moment you stop trying to compete, you start to become. Confidence built on comparison is unstable because it depends on who's standing next to you, not on what's within you. When your self-worth rises and falls based on how others perform, you hand them control over your peace. Comparison is a moving target. There will always be someone smarter, funnier, or more successful, and chasing that standard keeps you exhausted and insecure. Real confidence isn't about being better, it's about being grounded. It's the kind that doesn't shake when someone else shines. The moment you compare, you step out of your lane and lose focus on your own growth. Confidence built on competition will always crumble because it's not rooted in truth, but in fear of falling behind. When you measure your value through someone else's lens, you'll never see yourself clearly. Confidence has to come from identity, from knowing your purpose and trusting your path. It's steady, not showy. It doesn't need to prove anything because it's anchored in peace. The strongest version of yourself appears when you stop trying to win against others and start becoming consistent within yourself, standing tall not because you're the best, but because you finally stop needing to compare. Insecurity grows where authenticity fades, because the moment you start pretending to be someone you're not, you create a gap between who you are and who you're trying to be. That gap becomes the breeding ground for doubt, fear, and comparison. When you live behind a mask, you constantly worry about keeping it from slipping, and that anxiety eats away at your peace. Authenticity, on the other hand, brings freedom, the freedom to be seen, known, and accepted as you are. When you try to impress others or fit into their expectations, you begin to lose touch with your own voice. The more you perform for approval, the less connected you feel to your real self, and insecurity takes root in that emptiness. But when you embrace your flaws, your quirks, and your uniqueness, you build confidence that cannot be shaken by opinions. True strength comes from owning your truth, even when it's imperfect. The moment you choose to show up as yourself, you silence the voice of insecurity that whispers you're not enough. Authenticity doesn't require perfection, it requires honesty. And when you live honestly, insecurity loses its power to control how you see yourself. Peace comes when you stop proving, because the need to prove yourself keeps you trapped in an endless cycle of striving and self-doubt. When your worth depends on convincing others that you're enough, you'll always feel the pressure to perform, to achieve, and to be seen. But peace doesn't live in performance, it lives in acceptance. The moment you stop trying to earn validation, you make room for calm. Proving yourself is exhausting because it ties your identity to opinions that constantly change. You start chasing approval like it's oxygen, forgetting that who you are has value even without applause. When you stop competing to be noticed, you start noticing what truly matters: gratitude and presence. Peace isn't about being right, it's about being free from the noise that tells you to keep fighting for recognition. It's learning to rest in who you are, not in how others respond to you. When you stop defending your worth, you start living from it. The battles you were fighting in your head begin to quiet down, and you realize you never needed to prove anything to anyone because real confidence flows from peace, not pressure. True worth isn't measured by others because no one else can see the full story of who you are. People's opinions are limited by their perspective, their experiences, and sometimes their insecurities. When you let their judgments define your value, you hand them the power to shape your identity. Worth doesn't come from applause, status, or comparison. It comes from within, from knowing you were created with purpose and meaning that no one can take away. The world often measures worth by what's visible: success, possessions, or popularity. But true worth is quiet, steady, and rooted in character. It's found in how you treat people, how you rise after failure, and how you stay kind even when no one notices. When you base your value on people's approval, you'll constantly feel uncertain because their opinions shift like the wind. Real peace comes when you understand that your worth isn't up for debate, it's inherent. You don't have to earn it or protect it. You just have to believe it. The moment you stop waiting for others to confirm your value, you begin to live from a deeper strength, one that can't be shaken by rejection or comparison. Growth requires humility because humility opens the door for learning while pride closes it. You can't grow if you already believe you have everything figured out. Humility allows you to admit that you don't know it all, that mistakes happen, and that failure isn't the end, but a teacher. When you're humble, you see correction as guidance, not criticism. You start valuing wisdom over ego and progress over pride. Growth is uncomfortable because it challenges what you think you know, and humility gives you the courage to face that discomfort without pretending to have it all together. It teaches you to listen more, to ask for help, and to celebrate others without feeling smaller. Pride demands recognition, but humility finds strength in learning quietly and improving steadily. The people who grow the most aren't the loudest, they're the ones willing to be students again. When you humble yourself enough to learn from your mistakes, your pain, and even your critics, you transform weakness into wisdom. Growth doesn't come from proving superiority, it comes from staying teachable. Every season of progress begins with a heart that's willing to bow before it stands taller. Knowing that humility is the foundation of lasting change, Lauder lightens insecurity because it breaks the heaviness of self-doubt and reminds you not to take yourself too seriously. When you learn to laugh at your flaws, your mistakes lose their power to shame you. Humor shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's human, and in that shift, insecurity begins to fade. Lauder is a bridge. It connects you to others through honesty and vulnerability. It says, I'm not perfect, but I'm okay with that. When you can find joy in awkward or imperfect moments, you reclaim control over how they affect you. Insecurity feeds on fear and silence, but laughter disarms it with light. It turns embarrassment into a story and weakness into relatability. It teaches you that imperfection is not failure. It's a shared experience we all live through. Lauder creates perspective, helping you see that what once felt huge is actually just part of being human. The more you laugh through life's imperfections, the less power insecurity holds over you. You stop living for approval and start living with ease, knowing that humor isn't about hiding pain, but healing it with honesty, joy, and a lighter heart. Self-awareness creates strength because it allows you to understand your emotions, motives, and patterns instead of being controlled by them. When you know yourself deeply, you stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. Awareness brings clarity. It helps you recognize what triggers you, what inspires you, and what drains you. Strength doesn't come from pretending to have it all together. It comes from being honest about where you're still growing. Self-awareness gives you the ability to make better choices, build healthier relationships, and set boundaries that protect your peace. It's the quiet confidence that comes from understanding your own story and learning how to move forward with wisdom. The more aware you are, the less power negativity has over you because you can see it for what it is instead of letting it define you. Awareness turns pain into perspective and confusion into growth. It teaches you to pause, reflect, and act from a place of understanding instead of emotion. True strength is built on that foundation, the strength to admit your weaknesses, to learn from them, and to keep growing into the person you were meant to be with calm, confidence, and direction. You can't win a race that isn't yours, because no matter how hard you run, you'll always feel behind when you're chasing someone else's path. Life was never designed to be a competition of timelines, achievements, or appearances. When you measure your progress by another person's journey, you lose the rhythm of your own. Every person has a different pace, a different calling, and a different starting line. Comparison tricks you into thinking you're late when you're actually right on time for your purpose. You waste energy trying to catch up to a finish line that was never meant for you. Real success comes from running your own race with focus and consistency. It's about progress, not position. The joy of life is found in growth, not in comparison. When you stop looking sideways, you start to see the beauty in your own lane, the lessons, the victories, and the grace that's uniquely yours. Winning isn't about being first. It's about being faithful to your own journey. You find peace when you realize you don't need to outshine anyone else, only to outgrow the version of yourself from yesterday and stay committed to the race designed just for you. Acceptance brings inner freedom because it releases you from the exhausting battle of resisting what already is. When you stop fighting reality and start embracing it, peace begins to grow where frustration once lived. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve of everything or give up on change. It means you acknowledge what's beyond your control and choose to move forward with grace. It's the moment you stop demanding perfection from yourself, from others, and from life. When you accept who you are, flaws, strengths, and all, you free yourself from the weight of pretending. Acceptance transforms tension into trust, allowing your heart to rest in the present instead of being chained to regret or fear. It teaches you that growth doesn't always come from fixing everything, but from finding stillness in what's unfolding. Inner freedom blooms when you stop resisting your story and start owning it. You realize that peace is not found in control, but in surrender. Acceptance clears the noise of judgment and comparison, helping you hear your true self again. It allows you to breathe, to heal, and to live from a place of calm confidence. Knowing that you can build joy even in imperfect moments, becoming yourself, is the real victory, because life constantly tries to convince you that who you are isn't enough. From a young age, we're handed invisible scorecards, how to look, what to achieve, who to impress, and we start running a race we never agreed to join. The more we chase someone else's version of success, the more disconnected we become from our own. Becoming yourself isn't a one-time revelation. It's a lifelong practice of peeling back the layers of expectation, fear, and comparison until what's left feels true. It's not loud or flashy, it's quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. It's realizing that authenticity will always be more powerful than imitation. Every time you choose honesty over image, peace over pressure, and purpose over performance, you win. You stop living to impress and start living to express. You discover that fulfillment doesn't come from outshining others, but from understanding your own light. The real victory is waking up one day and realizing you no longer crave validation, because being yourself has become enough. It's freedom in its purest form, the kind that no competition can take away and no insecurity can control, the kind that lets you rest instead of race. So when I finally stopped trying to outdo my wife's ex, I realized the only person I'd been competing with was a version of myself that didn't even exist. I was so busy trying to win a game nobody was playing that I almost missed the joke. Life was trying to tell me that confidence isn't about proving you're better, it's about knowing you're okay. And honestly, once I laughed about it, everything got lighter. My wife, my peace, even my self-esteem, they all started making sense again. Turns out, the punchline was simple. I didn't need to be anyone else's better version, just the best version of me.